Let's compare two Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 1, Episode 2 style lightsaber hilts. On the left, we have an Ultrasabers Guardian, and on the right, we have a One Replica's Ssob Super Stunt. So one of the first differences you'll notice, I'm sure, is the difference in size. And Ultrasabers has a bit of a reputation for making some larger hilts. Now, that's not all of the hilts that Ultrasabers makes, but some of their kind of more premium hilts, like this Obi-Wan Kenobi style hilt, the Guardian, they are a little bit larger in size. Now, if you put that next to this one here, the Ssob from One Replicas, the size difference is kind of really accentuated. It's a high contrast because this Ssob is a slimmed down hilt. So this one's a bit smaller than average, and this one's a bit larger than average. You put them next to each other, and you end up with a very radical kind of size difference, size contrast. So let's look a little bit closer at the hilts. So here's just sort of an overall look, and then we'll start at the top. So at the top, you can kind of see into both of those hilts. The Ultrasabers one, you can see all the way to the bottom. It's purely an empty hilt. The Ssob from One Replicas does have a heat sink in it, so that's why you can't see all the way to the bottom. You have kind of a black portion to the emitter area on the Ultrasabers hilt, and that's not present on this One Replica's hilt. Now moving down, these are configured pretty similarly, especially, well, when you're still in the emitter area. So you have kind of these screws around the top, a similar kind of cutout area here. There are a few more grooves in the One Replica's hilt. You have the red thumb screw here. Now for the One Replica's hilt, this can be a functional screw, so that's actually a button in the center that you can press, and so you could end up using that if you end up installing electronics in this hilt. With the Ultrasabers hilt, this is just a decorative, this is a greebly, it's a decorative thumb screw, and the activation switch would be here. It would be an AV switch. Now moving along here, so on the One Replica's hilt, you see it's kind of the purple little gem here, and with the one from Ultrasabers, it's the red one. Oh, and another thing I should point out is, so you do have these different screws at the top of these hilts, and One Replica's includes these little like dome thingies to cover that up. So you are able to glue those on to kind of cover up the unsightly screws. Over here, here's the, what do you call it, the blade retention screw. So it's sort of a larger one for Ultrasabers, and it's pretty small and tucked away with the One Replica's hilt right here. We have a similar taper kind of choke point in the hilts, and yeah, it's about the same size, same length really for both of the hilts. Now in the grip area, so you see there's no switch for the One Replica's hilt, and that's because the switch is up here. For Ultrasabers, this is where the AV switch would go on your lightsaber. And so that also means there's this kind of different cutout into the shroud in that area that's not present in the One Replica's hilt. Now moving down to the rest of the grip area, so you can see that this is a two-tone grip for the Ultrasabers hilt. You have some metallic elements, metallic silver kind of colored elements in the center of the grips, and then it's anodized black in the outer part of it, whereas the One Replica's grip section is just solid black. There's a little bit of a cutout at the bottom right here into the shroud. Now on the back, I'm kind of knocking these lightsabers together. So on the back, the Ultrasabers hilt does include this cover tech wheel that's installed on the hilt. And then the One Replica's Ssob, you could add one if you wanted to, but that's not included with the hilt, at least if you purchase it from One Replicas directly. Now here's the pommel section. So the cube ring on the Ultrasabers hilt has the holes in it. The One Replica's one does not have the holes. Now these are both vented pommels. It's just the vents for the Ultrasabers hilt are on the bottom, and for the One Replica's hilt, they're kind of tucked away right by this sort of cube ring area. And the pommel for the One Replica's hilt, So this is the pommel. It's just one piece. You can't remove the rings. With the Ultrasabers hilt, it's several pieces, and the cube rings, that's actually a separate piece you could remove if you wanted to, for some reason. So yeah, that's just kind of a quick look at these hilts. It is kind of strange comparing them side by side just because the size difference is so accentuated. You have an extra kind of small, slim down hilt next to an Ultrasabers hilt that is a little bit larger than some of the other ones out there. But what's nice about the One Replicas hilt is you could just use this as a display piece right away. It doesn't have extra holes in it, and you know, the button's right here. With the Ultrasabers hilt, if you are using it as a display piece, you would want to, you know, install some kind of dummy switch here probably. So anyway, that's just a quick look at these two Obi-Wan Kenobi style lightsaber hilts. They're both kind of episode 1 or episode 2 style hilts.